Welcome to Dem Boyz, a podcast that is running out of the back of the end zone. We're one Saints fan and one Cowboys fan, one fan of who dat, and one fan of dat win. We're here to give weekly takes, game recaps, bad betting picks, game previews, and the occasional Seinfeld reference.
This week, in honor of Dan Orlovsky signing an extension to do quote-unquote analysis, we are choosing players who, for the Saints and Cowboys, who each had their respective bloopers over the years. So with that in mind, this week our patron saint is offensive lineman Kyle Turley. Turley was picked 7th overall in the 1998 draft by the Saints out of San Diego State. He would play 5 seasons in New Orleans, earning first-team All-Pro honors in 2000. Infamously, on November 4th, 2001, during a national primetime game, the Saints were trailing the Jets 16-9 in the final minute. They were in Jets territory, 2nd and 3 on the Jets 6. Then quarterback Aaron Brooks was tackled on a scramble to the 5-yard line, after which Jets safety Damian Robinson grabbed Brooks by the face mask and bent his body backwards while twisting his head to the side. Turley proceeded to step in on behalf of his quarterback, separate the two, pick up Robinson by the face mask, and throw him to the ground as referees and players from both teams tried to break up the scrum. Turley would then emerge from the pile with Robinson's helmet and throw it discus style across the field before making an obscene gesture. After offsetting penalties, Turley was assessed an additional personal foul and was ejected from the game. That penalty backed the Saints up 15 yards, and they would lose the game, failing to score on that drive. Saints coach at the time, Jim Haslett, said he initially considered cutting Turley. However, he rethought his position after reviewing the play and discussing the situation with Aaron Brooks. Turley was fined $25,000 by the Saints, and he was requested to attend counseling for anger management. Saints fans, however, applauded Turley and set up a Kyle Turley defense fund to assist in payment of the fine. In 2003, Turley was then traded to the St. Louis Rams and immediately signed a whopping 5-year, $26.5 million extension. That's not $26.5 million a year, folks. That's $26.5 million total. So things have changed in 20 years. Turley would play all 16 games in 2003 and one playoff game at right tackle. This is, you may not remember, but this is when the Rams had a guy named Orlando Pace playing left tackle for them. During week 7 of that season, Turley suffered a severe concussion after taking a knee to the back of the head, but he was cleared for practice by midweek and started the next game. Turley later attested to this in a January 2010 congressional hearing on the NFL's handling of concussions. In March 2004, Turley underwent surgery to repair a herniated disc, re-aggravated the injury during training camp, and then opted for a long rehabilitation in lieu of a second surgery, during which he dropped from 310 to 235 pounds, which would lead to a heated exchange with then coach Mike Martz, after which Martz filed a complaint with NFL security, though no disciplinary action was taken. During his rehabilitation, Turley suggested he could switch to defensive end to lessen the load on his back. However, on June 6, 2005, after failing a physical, he was released. Turley would miss the entire 2005 season. He did train for a return in 2006. He tried out with the Dolphins in minicamp as a tight end. However, he did end up signing a 2-year contract with the Chiefs and competed for the starting right tackle job. He ended up starting the first 2 games of that season. Injuries limited him to 7 starts. He was released in March 2007, but re-signed in July to a 1-year deal. He would start 5 games in 2007. Again, myriad of injuries costing him time there. And then he would announce his retirement from the NFL December 21st, 2007. In his post-playing days, Turley has become a musician. He has released several albums. He has actually launched his own record label, playing his quote-unquote power country style of music. He opened for a number of well-known musical acts, including in 2010, he was on tour with Hank Williams III. He has also been outspoken and involved in a number of player health issues post-retirement, particularly in regards to the neurological problems resulting from his football career, which include early onset Alzheimer's, CTE, symptomatic seizures and vertigo, and his use of cannabis as a treatment. He is a board member and active supporter of the Gridiron Greats Assistance Fund, an organization providing medical care and other forms of assistance to retired NFL players in dire need.
Our patron cowboy this week is the big cat, Leon Lett. Lett was drafted by the Cowboys 173rd overall in the 7th round of the 1991 NFL Draft out of Division II Emporia State. I'd like to think that he is the only NFL player to ever come out of Emporia State, but I have not confirmed that. He began the season on injured reserve, but played the last 5 games of the regular season and the playoffs as a backup defensive tackle. He bloomed in his second season and transformed into one of the key defensive players on a dominant Cowboys defense, helping the Cowboys to reach and win Super Bowl 27. It was during that game, a 52-17 drubbing of the Bills, that Lett would commit one of the 2 plays he was most famous for. On what would have been the longest fumble recovery touchdown in Super Bowl history, Lett celebrated prematurely, allowing Don Beebe to run up and knock the ball out of his hands and through the back of the end zone, resulting in a touchback. That play not only cost Lett the record for longest fumble recovery touchdown in Super Bowl history, it also cost the Cowboys the record for most points scored in a Super Bowl in history, because they would have had 59 had he not, He did end the game with a sack of Frank Reich, though. The next season, Leon Lett committed another gaffe on Thanksgiving in the snow game against the Miami Dolphins. After the Cowboys blocked the Dolphins' attempted go-ahead field goal, Lett attempted to recover the ball, but instead, the ball squirted loose, allowing Miami to recover and the Dolphins to escape with the victory. Lett would go on to make the Pro Bowl in 1994 and 1998 and would play with Dallas through the 2000 season before joining the Broncos for a single season in 2001 before retiring. Lett finished his career with 22 and a half sacks, 6 forced fumbles, 7 fumble recoveries, and 271 tackles, as well as 3 Super Bowl titles. He also finished his career with a total of, he was suspended for 28 total games during his career. So pretty good work out there.
Way to go, Leon.
Way to go.
I'm Paul the Saints fan.
I'm Brandon the Cowboys fan.
We're your hosts. Now, Izzy, tell them what time it is.
Yeah, that's it. It's go time. Let's see you live that.
Mr. Mandelbaum, please.
It's go time.
This one's for you, Pop. It's go time.
It's go time.
You've been married 3 times.
That's it! It's go time!
It's go time.
We missed Izzy these last
that's
couple weeks.
The one thing about the live shows that we don't have is Mr. Mandelbaum.
I actually, we'll talk about it in a minute. I watched a movie featuring Mr. Mandelbaum this week.
Was he number 1?
No, not quite, but he handled himself pretty well. I did want to, before we get to the housekeeping, Emporia State, 15 players in the NFL, 11 drafted.
Wow.
Leon Lett, by far the most famous of the bunch. But let's see, 1956, Bill Dannenhauer. 1994, hey, Dallas Cowboys, 1994, John Davis is a tight end.
I don't think he didn't quite make the same impression.
Yeah, I don't think so. Let's see who else we got here. St. Louis Cardinals, 1979. Steve Henry is a defensive back. Leon Lett, obviously, as you mentioned, and then John Lohmeyer, Kansas City Chiefs, 1973. He was also a defensive lineman, but like Leon. So there you go. So it's Emporia State. There was a quarterback, Bob Leahy.
LaHaye, here we go.
Bob LaHaye. He played one season for the Steelers in 1971.
Well, this John Davis tight end actually played 6 years in the league. None with Dallas, but he did play with Tampa Bay, Minnesota, and Chicago.
Oh, and he was drafted in the supplemental draft. I should point out.
Yeah.
94. Yeah, so Tampa, Minnesota, Chicago. Oh, he's from Jasper. He's a Jasper kid.
Yeah.
All right. So we give you answers here on Bless Them Boys.
We're learning just like the listeners.
Exactly. Right. If you want to learn us something and contact the show, you can do so via email. We're at blessdemboys, BLESSDEMBOYZ @gmail.com. We're still on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at bless_dem_boys. I'm at Paul Elliott _316, PAULELLIOTT. Brandon's at Ball from Grace. We're still on Blue Sky. Check us out on Blue Sky also. You can listen to us as you are now, hopefully. We're on Spotify, Apple. Check us out on YouTube. We do some live shows. Got some more live shows coming.
I saw we actually one of our videos got its first like this week.
Oh, very nice.
Guess what? It was the spelling bee one.
Of course.
Our big hit.
Hey, listen. We'll do spelling bees every week if we have to.
Welcome to Spell Them Boys.
Spell them, yeah. Spell them. There we go. Now we're cooking. So yeah, if you're like that user there, appreciate the likes. Like, share, subscribe, leave comment, review. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell the bots. I think the bots are still with us. Hopefully. All right. We're going to get into some, again, like it's been the last couple of weeks. Football news is a little bare during this kind of summer break time for the league, with training camps. I think 2 weeks. I want to say 2 weeks from today is the Saints' first day of training camp. So, but as we do each week here on Bless Them Boys, we can talk about other things.
But enough about fish. I can discuss other things,
All right. Brandon, you want to kick us off here with what you got up to?
Yeah, it was a pretty slow week for me. The wife and I have been started Severance because she was interested in it. I had already watched it, but she had seen the ending to the show, so she knew the very end of it. But we got through. I think last week when we talked, we had finished season 1 and we were on to season 2. So we finished season 2 this week, yesterday actually, and so we started the finale, and she was like, "Okay, I remember that." She remembered seeing part of the cabin part and then just the end. Yep. But she didn't realize that all this, there was so much more stuff that happened in the middle. And she was like, "I don't remember any of this. I must have missed it." And I was like, "Yeah, it was more than just those two parts."
Right. That's ironic because one of my former coworkers who I recommended the show to, she texted me last week or the week before saying that she was watching. She texted me a picture of Milchick from the finale. With during his big scene,
the band's performance.
Right. Well, right before that.
Okay.
And she said, "Watching the season 2 finale, what the hell is going on?" or something along those lines. And I said, "Oh, don't worry, it gets better."
I love the band scene. My wife was like, "There's a lot of it's kind of I don't know if you'd call it awkward humor." Or unintentional comedy, but it's purposefully the moment where he's when he's talking to the machine or whatever, the Keir Egan statue that's animatronic or whatever. There's moments like that, but there's my wife was cracking up at stuff like this, but the show's so good, it's so well done.
My coworker sent the picture she sent me was from that scene where he's talking to the anime, because it was like a side-by-side shot of Milchick and the animatronic Egan. Yeah, it was.
There's so much tension in that scene too.
Yeah, it's really great, and she, of course, said, I said Milchick has. I think I said something like Milchick has the best lines in the show, and she said, "Oh yeah, devour feculence is definitely in my my vocabulary now."
Milchick is one of those characters where you actually like have moments like when you see him with like the severed workers, like you're like he's like a jerk, but when you see him with the higher ups, you kind of have sympathy for him. He's one of those characters like he might be one of my like favorite characters on the show just because of that.
Yeah,
like
it's a rare character that, like, to your point, like if he's with one group of people, he's the villain, but if he's with another group of people, you're rooting for him. Yeah, so I can't really think of another character from a show like that. Like I'm really kind of racking my brain to think of one, but
the duality of man.
There you go, the duality of man. Yeah, any Audi.
Yeah. So my wife and kids had gone to visit friends in Austin. They came back and they had watched The Greatest Showman over there, so they wanted to watch that here. Okay. So I got to see The Greatest Showman, which I had not seen.
How great a showman is he?
Not for me, buddy.
Gotcha.
I mean, and this is La La Land, Wicked, another musical situation where I got about 5 minutes into this and I said, this is not going to be my type of movie. So my wife actually said that she didn't really like it as much as she thought she would either.
When it was over, did you yell out, "Must miss"?
Yes, exactly. And then I decided I was going to finally watch all of Curb. So I started with the first episode, which I've seen multiple times as I've tried multiple times to watch this show.
Hang on one second. When you say the first episode, do you mean the pants tent, or do you mean okay? Because there was like an unaired pilot that they originally put on. I want to say on the season 1 DVD, but it's on I think it's on HBO. It's like an hour long. It was meant to be like a special. That kind of became a de facto pilot for Curb. But so when you say the first episode, that's why I asked.
Yeah, I think I may have seen that special at some point, like a long time ago, because that sounds familiar. But so I watched the pants.
I want to say it's just called. I want to say that episode is just called Curb Your Enthusiasm. I don't think it's.
Yeah, that sounds right. And then one of the things, we talked about our YouTubes, but one of the things that, like, when my wife is out of town, I always have trouble sleeping, and so I usually like put on some sort of like classical music or something to try to help me fall asleep. So what I've gotten really into on YouTube lately, falling asleep to, is ASMR videos.
Okay. I haven't listened to any, but I know what they are.
It's just like relaxing, and I love the whispering and the scratching and the "Hey, what are you doing?" And then
nope,
no, not for you.
Not the voices, like the maybe if it was like a rain, like a thunderstorm type deal.
So they do. One of the things that I like is like when they'll do like typing on a computer, or they'll do like a haircut thing where they're like doing the scissor noises, like
okay.
So that's what I got into, Paul. It's been a very, very exciting week over here. I didn't get a chance to watch LA Confidential this weekend. I meant to watch it Saturday, and then time got taken up doing groceries and cooking.
I meant to tell you there is, excuse me, there is a Seinfeld alum in LA Confidential that I think you'll recognize. It's not one of the main like guest stars, but I think you'll recognize.
Okay.
So just keep an eye out for that.
I'll be watching
when you do watch it.
All right, Paul. What about you?
Well, before I get into that, I was browsing social media here. Do you remember Frank Layden, the Utah Jazz head coach from would have been. Well, he was also an executive with the Utah Jazz. He passed away. The NBA just announced that he passed away. He was. You might recognize him if you see him. He wore glasses. Kind of a heavy set fellow. I remember seeing him on like some of the NBA, like when the NBA would release those like blooper videos. I remember seeing him on there because he would always say kind of crazy stuff. But
Yeah, I've seen him before, but I don't know him.
Yeah.
I know him from like pictures around, not like actual time watching the NBA or anything like that.
yeah. So, like I said, I just came across that, so I thought I would mention it. So rest in peace to Frank Layden. So for me, so we talked last week. We spent a good bit of time talking about the New York Times top 100 best of the 21st century. So the day after we recorded last week, they released a readers list.
I did see
of
that
the top 100, which was a little bit different. One of the big notable differences we talked about on the official list. Only the Fellowship of the Ring was on that top 100. Well, on the readers list, all three Lord of the Rings movies made. It was Fellowship and Return of the King.
Two Towers.
Well, Fellowship and Return of the King were right next to each other, and then a little bit further down was the Two Towers. Parasite was still number one on the readers list.
Yeah, I did. I went through that. I think I had like, I picked up a few more movies on that I had watched because it was more. There was more.
Yeah, like some of the more like I looked to see. I kind of compared the two lists today just to see what was on one but not on the other. I think the biggest one on the original list that wasn't on the readers list was like Y Tu Mama Tambien.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say wasn't on there. So yeah, that's and then if you read the article, if you scrolled all the way down, they actually went all the way to like I want to say 500 on the readers list.
Oh yeah, because they had like just a list though.
Yeah,
well,
it was just a list. Yeah,
I saw it. I was like, this is not in a readable format. I can't. There's no way I'm getting through this.
Yeah, so I'm guessing they got that list from the ballot. When I talked last week about how
you could go on top 10 or whatever.
You could do a top 10, which I meant to. Let me see if I have my top. Did I? I think I spoke about it last week, but I don't think I actually mentioned my top. This was my top 10. No, in no particular order. This was just 10 movies, which I guess they put them in order, but I did not mean this to be in order. It was Training Day, Inglourious Bastards, No Country for Old Men, Spotlight, Past Lives, Parasite, Sicario, Brokeback Mountain, The Royal Tenenbaums, and Mulholland Drive. That was my 10 that I submitted.
I forgot the Big Lebowski was pre-2000, so it wouldn't have.
It was 98. Yeah, it was 98.
That would have been on my list if it was, but
yeah.
But I agree.
Oh, you actually.
Old Men is a good one.
You actually. It reminds me. A couple weeks ago was the great John Goodman's birthday, and I replied to a tweet about what's favorite performances, and I put I think like 10 Cloverfield Lane and Flight maybe, and then you accurately retweeted or replied to my tweet with Big Lebowski. Of course, I mean that's
market zero.
Yeah, I need to rewatch that one. I haven't watched that one in a while. So speaking of the top 10 list, so we drafted last week films from that top 100 that we hadn't seen that we wanted to check out. So one of the four that I drafted was Moonlight. So I was able to watch Moonlight. Wonderful film. Just I could see why it won the Best Picture the year it came out. It's definitely it's classic coming of age story about a young man growing up in Florida, and just everything he has to go through. Some great performances in the movie. So I'd highly recommend it if you haven't seen it.
Is that Mahershala Ali in there?
Mahershala Ali is in it. Yes, he's in it. Janelle Monáe is also in it, the singer. So the kind of the main character of the film, his story is told in kind of three sections. So there's section one when he's a kid and Marshall Ali takes him under his wing, and then there's another section where he's kind of adolescent age, like high school age, and then there's another section where he's the third section where he is an adult, and it kind of just follows his progression. The adult version is played. I don't remember the gentleman's name, but I recognized him, and when I looked him up on IMDb, the reason I recognized him, he's in the Predator movie that came out in 2017, 2018 with Keegan Michael.
The new Predator.
Yeah, a newer Predator that Shane Black directed, I believe. So that's where I recognize him from. But yeah, I would definitely highly recommend Moonlight. So you mentioned you didn't watch LA Confidential. I did get a chance to check out Mystery Train.
Oh yeah, how'd you like it?
So I ended up watching it like 1.5 times because I started it late Monday night, and that kind of similar to Moonlight. Actually, that movie is told kind of in three segments. Mystery Train, that is. There's, for those, just to kind of give a brief overview, it's basically these three separate stories that all kind of dovetail at the end. The first story is this young Japanese couple who come to Memphis because they're obsessed with blues music. They want to go to Sun Studio. They want to go to Graceland. At the end of the movie, they talk about going to New Orleans and seeing Fat Domino's house. So there's their story. And then the second, so I finished that one. And then when I got to the second part, which is titled The Ghost, about this young Italian woman whose husband has passed away, and they're flying back from somewhere, but they get rerouted to Memphis, and she has to basically spend the night in Memphis. I kind of dozed off during that, so I had to go back and rewatch. But then I woke up and caught the third segment, which is called I forget what it's called. Island something. No, Lost in Space. That's what it was. Lost in Space. And it's these three guys. One of them is Steve Buscemi, a young Steve Buscemi, and really, really great role for him. The other guy, one of the other guys in that segment is, if you've seen Ghost, the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze, he's the bad guy in that movie. Willie Lopez, I think's his name.
Also with Demi Moore, not Sonny Tractor Trailer.
Right, not Demi. But yeah, so I finished the movie, but then I went back Tuesday to kind of pick up what I missed, especially in that Ghost section, that middle section. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really well done film. I'd watch a movie like that, every year. Like if they did a movie like that every year, it'd be,
I enjoyed it. That was actually like it was recommended to me by a coworker because they were visiting Memphis for like a trip, and I had been there several times, and so like I think they were really into blues music too, and so she was like, you should watch this movie if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I've never been to Memphis. I've been to Nashville. Obviously, I was there last year, or we were recording the show. But years ago, my mother and I went for a trip to visit one of her friends, and we drove through Memphis, but we didn't stop and stay. We actually stayed on the Mississippi side. I believe the town is Meridian. That's on the Mississippi side, and literally you like get back on the interstate, cross a bridge, and you're in Memphis. Like it's that kind of thing.
Great city.
No, I definitely need to get back there sometime. So I also knocked out a few movies. So last week I talked about this Criterion challenge that I'm doing. And my initial plan was I had plotted out the 52 movies that I was going to watch, and I was going to go in order, right? So I did first two categories. Well, I did category 3, which was a movie directed by Robert Altman. And the movie I watched was, ironically enough, called Nashville. We were talking about Memphis.
See?
So Nashville it's from 1975. It's kind of a character drama. It kind of follows these musicians and people living in Nashville, working in Nashville, and it kind of leads up to this big event at the end of a week that they're going to play for this aspiring presidential candidate. It's good. I mean, it has some good music in it, much like Mystery Train. Would say so. If you like Robert Altman also directed MASH, the MASH movie, not the TV
not
show.
the show.
But he directed the movie. And he's directed a couple of the other one that you might know him for is a 1992 film called The Player, starring Tim Robbins, which is kind of like it's almost like Hollywood, like the behind the scenes stories of Hollywood, kind of like what The Studio is right now on Apple TV. It's kind of that vibe. So then I accidentally filled out two more categories on my Criterion challenge. I didn't mean to watch this, but I ended up watching a movie called Double Indemnity. It's from 1944. It stars. It's kind of a classic noir movie. It's like when you talk about like noir films, this is like one of the classics. And I watched it because on Letterboxd, I do this thing every month where I'll just your 4 favorites on Letterboxd.
Uh-huh.
So what I've been doing is each week I just update that, but I kind of give a theme. So a theme around my 4. And the theme I did this week was 4 movies from the AFI Top 100 movies of all time that were released in July. So I did it, and one of the movies I did was Double Indemnity, and I'm like, oh, I've never seen that movie. Let me watch it. I kind of feel weird having it in my top 4, and I haven't seen it. Not realizing I had put it on my Criterion challenge, the category that it satisfied was a movie from the 1940s. So it's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, it's classic noir. Like the dialogue in the movie is fantastic. Like just the back and forth between the two main characters. I believe it's Fred McMurray, and Barbara Stanwyck. They're the two main actors. Also Edward Robinson is in it. And then the other movie I watched that accidentally filled out one of my categories was The Last Waltz. This is a documentary film by Martin Scorsese about the band. They did their last concert in 1977 or 78.
Is that the Bob Dylan outfit?
Yes. So they started out backing up Bob Dylan, and then they kind of did that. Robbie Robertson is the guitar player, lead singer there. But that actually, The Last Waltz actually ties to Mystery Train, because one of the tunes they play in this documentary is Mystery Train, is the song
nice.
Mystery Train. Because when it started, I was like, wait a minute, why do I recognize the song? Oh, because it was from, I had heard it in the movie. And then I mentioned, I kind of teased this earlier, our friend Izzy Mandelbaum. I watched a movie that he was in his younger days called High Noon. It's an old classic Western starring Gary Cooper as a sheriff or the marshal of a town. He gets married, and he's going to go and live with his new wife, so he gives up his marshal job. But he finds out that this criminal he put away got out of jail and is coming back into town to get revenge on him. And he's got like a gang of buddies with him.
Uh-huh.
So he decides to stay, and because the new marshal's not going to get to town until the next day, so he feels like he needs to stay and defend the town. And it's a really tight. The movie's only like 85 minutes. It's a very tightly structured movie.
I love movies like that where you can just get in and out and be on your way.
I mean, it is it is from. I mean, it's black and white, so it's from. I don't remember what year it's from. I want to say it's the 40s, but really good, really entertaining. 19. I'm sorry, no, it's 1952 actually. That's when it was released. But it was another one that was on the AFI Top 100 list that was released in July, so I had it on my top 4 on Letterboxd. I figured let me check it out since I hadn't seen it before.
Gotcha.
For those keeping score, my other 2 top 4 right now are Forrest Gump, which I've seen numerous times, and Do the Right Thing, the Spike Lee movie.
I just added a couple of you made me while you were talking, you made me think. So I did add a couple of movies to my Letterboxd. I gave reviews to The Greatest Showman and La La Land.
Oh boy,
I did not rate them very highly.
I see that. Yeah, that's a shame.
Oh, that's a shame.
That's a shame. But yeah, I think that does it for me for what I did over the week. DoorDash.
No DoorDash incidents this week.
No, nothing to write home about.
No Sonic troubles.
No Sonic troubles. I will say this isn't a DoorDash incident. Monday morning I woke up and I had a very sharp pain in my back. This old age catching up with me, I guess. It was one of those. So my youngest daughter, who just turned 9 in May, when she was not even a year old, when she would have trouble sleeping at night, I would go into her room and I would rock her to sleep in this big rocking chair we had, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one night, and usually I would fall asleep with her. So like one night, I'm rocking her to sleep. She falls asleep. I fall asleep. I wake up. It's middle of the night. I very gingerly place her back into the crib. And as I'm placing her back into the crib, I feel like a tug on my back. You know what that is? Like in your lower back, you feel that. But I didn't think anything of it. The next morning, I cannot get out of bed. And when I say I cannot get, I mean, I'm trying to sit up and I can't. And it got to the point where I had to go to the emergency room. They did x-rays, couldn't find anything. They said,
you just watched,
stretch.
Paul.
Right. They just said, stretch, basically. And this is 8-9 years ago.
You go to medical school for 8 years and you figure out, just stretch it out.
Right, just stretch it out. Here's a. They did give me a Valium, which I appreciated, or some painkiller of some sort. But so fast forward to a couple days ago, I wake up and it's the same thing. Like I can barely get out of bed. That night I was trying to
put your kid into the bed again. Is that what happened?
No. I don't know. I don't know what it was. But then that night I was trying to get into bed, and when I would squat down to sit on the bed, it was like somebody was like just grabbing my back in one particular spot, and it just hurt, man. So
that's no good.
Yeah, that's no good. It was go time almost.
Ooh. You didn't try to lift the television that was bolted to a table, did you?
No. Why didn't you tell me it was bolted on? I still thought you could lift it.
I believe in you, Pop.
You want to talk about some news and notes here? Want to start with non-NFL news and notes?
Yeah, so the Athletic released their top 100, their list of top 100 college rivalries. You wanna take a shot at what number 1 was?
Okay, I have not looked at this.
Okay,
to be clear,
okay.
I don't have an Athletic subscription, so I don't. Number 1, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Michigan, Ohio State.
That's correct. That's what I guessed too.
Okay.
All right.
I would, especially, that's kind of recency bias because in the last couple of years they definitely
it's been really good.
It
feels like they have a lot of history too. I know.
No, they do for sure. But like there was a period there where it was like it wasn't a rivalry.
Right.
Like, it was very one-sided.
All right. You want to take a shot at number 2?
Is it from a conference?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so they're both teams are in the same conference.
Yes. Teams that have played each other
Okay.
a lot.
It's not UT and A&M.
No.
No. Alabama Auburn.
That's correct.
Okay.
Number 3.
Because Alabama Auburn, they were smoking there for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Like those going back to like the Cam Newton and Mark
you had
Ingram
the
years.
kick 6 too.
The kick 6. Yep. Yeah, they had some. Auburn had a couple of years there where they were and then when Bo Jackson was there back in the 80s,
right?
That was
yeah. So I kind of assumed. I figured Michigan, Ohio State, and Alabama Auburn were the top 2. You want to guess what number 3 was?
Is it like USC Notre Dame or
no? Still a conference rivalry.
Trying to think here. I'm just racking my brain through like the big rivals, like Tennessee, not Tennessee, Florida, not LSU, LSU, Alabama.
Nope.
No.
I'll give you a hint. This rivalry is still in the same conference, but it's in a different conference than it was a year ago.
UT&M?
UT, Oklahoma.
Oh, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Texas, Oklahoma, I actually agree with this. I think Texas, Oklahoma is a bigger rivalry than Texas A&M.
I agree.
I will point out also that Texas leads this rivalry 64-51 with 5 ties.
Hey, there you go. That's I don't know why I forget about Oklahoma, but
yeah, I try to too, Paul.
But fair enough.
So we'll go through the top 10. This is kind of I thought this one was a little surprising. It's a good rivalry. I was surprised it was ranked this high. Army Navy number 4.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean that's kind of a historic.
Yeah. USC Notre Dame, they're at number 5.
Okay. Yep.
This one hasn't been played in a while.
The USC Notre Dame one, that one hasn't been good for a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time I remember it being really good was probably the Bush. Well, although they did have a game this past season, they had a game that was pretty good, if I remember.
Right. Yeah. Well, Notre Dame's gotten better lately, and USC is kind of like USC is not what they were in the early 2000s, though.
It's more of a USC issue than it is a Notre Dame issue.
Number 6 was Nebraska, Oklahoma.
Oof. They haven't played that one in a while.
Yeah, that one's been out for a while. Miami, Florida State.
Okay, that makes sense.
Ohio State, Penn State.
Okay.
Florida, Florida State.
Yeah. I'd put Florida State ahead of Ohio State, Penn State personally, but that's.
I think this one here is a little high. Minnesota, Wisconsin is number 10.
Yeah, no, I'd put UT&M ahead of Minnesota, Wisconsin.
Yeah, and Alabama, Tennessee, or Georgia, Florida, Alabama, LSU. All those like SEC rivalries, I feel like are better than.
Listen, I think Minnesota, Wisconsin is definitely important in Minnesota and Wisconsin,
right? Definitely.
From a national perspective, I think maybe they just wanted to not be so SEC heavy.
Yeah, they were trying to like throw the rest of the country some bones.
What's the last great Minnesota Wisconsin game that you remember? You know what I mean?
I'll try to think of one.
Yeah. You think of one, then you and I both will have one.
So Texas A&M was 15th. You want to guess the win count in that rivalry?
What's the total number of games?
It is 119. There were 5 ties. So there's
114.
Yep.
I'm going to say Texas 60-54.
It is 77-37.
Wow. Texas?
Yep.
Wow. I thought A&M. Well, maybe that's why it's not in the top 10.
Yeah. See. To be a real rivalry, it has to be a little closer.
See, that's now if they took that into consideration, I hope they did. Maybe that's why Minnesota, Wisconsin sneaks up there because that maybe they're
It is 63, 63, and 8. So,
Minnesota, Wisconsin.
Yep.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a good point.
What's the highest one with LSU in it? Is it LSU, Alabama?
LSU, Alabama at number 13.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, listen.
Ole Miss, though, I thought LSU and Ole Miss hate each other too, don't they?
That's the one. Yeah, that's so. In the lean years at LSU, it was always LSU, Ole Miss. But then when LSU kind of was on the come up, Coach O, that obviously the year where that Coach O was there with Burrow and all them guys, you had to beat Alabama. Alabama was the team, so that rivalry kind of came out of that situation. But LSU Ole Miss is a big one. LSU and Florida. When I was growing up, LSU Florida was a big one. Just because, again, it was that thing where Florida was the dominant SEC team, so you had to beat them. And if you could beat, and I remember LSU, I want to say it was like 96 or 97. Florida's number one in the country. They come into LSU. It's an ESPN nationally televised game. LSU's not ranked. And LSU beat them, and that was a big deal, like a very big deal. And so LSU Florida kind of became a rivalry. The problem with that one is LSU Florida they're not in the same division. They're not in the same.
So they don't get to play each other every year, right?
But they are in the SEC, or at least I don't know if they still do this, but they used to have you played everybody in the division. You had this one cross division rival that you played every year, and for LSU it was Florida. That was their cross division rival. For Alabama, it's Tennessee. For Auburn, I think it's Georgia. They that's where some of those rivalries come from. So I don't know if Auburn, Georgia was on the list, but
it's got to be on here. I figure they've got most of those on here at somewhere.
Yeah, you didn't mention Georgia in the top 10 in any of those rivalries.
Yeah, they were not on here for the top 10. I can't remember where Georgia, Florida is number 12.
Okay, that makes sense. The cocktail party or whatever.
Yeah, and then Auburn, Georgia is 17. The only other Texas game on here is Texas and Arkansas, which is kind of old
way back in the day. Yeah,
Southwest Conference that they were
Big 8.
Yeah,
Big 8 Southwest. Yep, that was back when. I remember when I was in high school. I think I've talked about this on the show. My freshman year of high school, we got to march halftime at the Cotton Bowl game back in the old Cotton Bowl Stadium. And the game was it wasn't Texas, Arkansas. It was Texas, Mississippi State. But that was Ricky Williams' last college game when he broke the
record.
The record.
Is it the team record?
It was I think it was the
all-time rushing.
I think it was the all-time, yeah. And I remember walking in the tunnel to go perform, and the Texas team was walking to the locker room, and 34 walked right by us, man. He was huge. I mean, he was I would not want to tackle that guy. He was a beat. Now he's skinnier, but
yeah, those NFL players don't I think Leon Lett lost a bunch of weight too. Like those guys.
Charlie did too. We talked about that in the opening. Like those guys was like I remember. I think it was Brian Ramczyk for the Saints. The way people knew he was retiring was he showed up at something and he had lost like 30 pounds. They're like, oh, okay, he's not
he's
back.
Not playing.
If he's especially if you're a lineman and you lose like 30. Well, Kelsey too, right? Jason Kelsey did the same thing with the Eagles. Like he was, but yeah. Any other ones you want to shout out there?
No, I just wanted to kind of touch on the top 10 and then kind of our team rivalries.
Is Iowa State on there by any
I'm
chance?
sure it's on here somewhere. Let me see.
That's the only Iowa rivalry I could think. Well, Iowa, Wisconsin, maybe.
Penn State, Iowa.
Yeah, that might be a big one. That might be a.
Yeah, the search function on here is not particularly good. Is the problem? Iowa State, Kansas State. Oh, that's Iowa State. Penn State, Iowa.
While you're looking for that, I do want to also mention. I forgot to mention this in what I watched this week. I'm happy to report, Anchorman.
Yes,
is still hilarious. Is still hilarious.
Great movie.
It's still that they. I hadn't watched it in a while, and there was a part that got me. I had never noticed this before. In the party scene at the beginning of the movie, when Veronica first shows up, and Burgundy catches like Caesar. The music kicks in. The Bill Withers song kicks in, and there's a close up of Burgundy's face, and he just goes, "Oh." I lost it. I don't know why. I never noticed that before.
So Minnesota, Iowa, and Iowa, Nebraska are both on there.
Yeah. That makes sense. Minnesota, Iowa is a trophy game. It's Florida Rosedale.
So Iowa State is 32.
Okay. Iowa, Wisconsin play. They play for the. Is that the Axe? No.
Wisconsin plays somebody for an axe. I thought that was Minnesota.
Yeah, you might be right. The Paul Bunyan Axe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right. No.
Well, maybe
I know Florida.
That's why
That's
it's such a big rivalry. They get the axe.
Hey, Northwestern State. Stephen F. Austin's not on there for.
That one seems to be missing. I bet it was 101.
They don't play anymore because SFA's now. They're not in the Southland Conference anymore. I forget what conference they're in now, but because they used to play for Chief Cato, the big.
We smoking peace pipe.
Smoking peace pipe, yeah. I remember when I was in college, man. Because whoever won the game would keep it on campus for the year, and you'd go into the athletic house, the field house, and you'd see it, and it was a big statue, man. It was a pretty big statue, but
big cigar store Indian.
There you go. Kramer would have loved it.
So let's get into the actual NFL news. I see there's a
real quick. I do want to mention. Just some quick baseball news. I don't know if you noticed, but the Astros swept the Dodgers this weekend.
Oh, nice. They must have been stealing signs.
Sure. I don't care. They swept them. Whatever. But
they did lose. We should point out that they did lose to the Rockies, however.
They did.
We should.
And they lost to the Guardians in extra innings last night. Somebody hit a grand slam in the 10th for the Guardians. The Astros, and then the All-Star teams, they announced the reserves. The only Astro position player to make it was Jeremy Pena, but he can't play because he's injured. So they replaced him.
I know Jacob deGrom made it for the Rangers.
Yeah, Hunter Brown made it for the Astros. He might have an outside chance to start because he's been pretty good this first half, but I'm sure they'll
better
give
than
it.
Jacob deGrom.
Probably not. DeGrom, I'm guessing will.
I think. Well, isn't Skubal Tariq, the Tigers pitcher? He's been the best pitcher in baseball. He won the Cy Young last year, so I wouldn't. Okay. That's kind of the guy that I think would actually get the start.
So the two Astros left on the All-Star team are Hunter Brown, who's a starting pitcher. And then Josh Hader, our closer, he's been really good this season. So, anything basketball related? How about that big 7-team trade that went down?
Right.
I love the NBA, man. They do all these moves, they announce all these things, and then 2 weeks later they're like, "Oh, this is a 7-team trade."
We changed.
Right.
It.
Because last week, I think it was last week or the week before, we were on the show and I said, "Oh, the Rockets signed Clint Capella." I was like, "Okay, cool, whatever." And then I look at 2 days ago. It's like, "Oh, it's a 7-team trade. Durant and Capella go to the Rockets." It's like, what? What are you talking about?
Right.
So, yeah. The Knicks hired a coach, Mike Brown.
Yeah, he was our first choice after we tried to interview 7 other people.
Did they? Okay, I don't know, because there were a lot of jokes going around about this, because like they kept asking people and getting denied. Did they seriously reach out to Dawn Staley? I saw
what
that.
I've heard
I saw that.
like actually true.
I would. I mean, listen, she's obviously a very capable coach. I mean, I kind of would have liked to seen that. Honestly,
I think someone said they wonder if she's trying to wait for the WNBA team in Philly to come, because she's from there, and so like it would make sense for her to like make that move.
That's something else that happened. WNBA expansion. I think they added teams.
Detroit, Cleveland, and Philadelphia.
Yeah,
I think. I know the Detroit team is actually the team that is now they had a team before called the Shock, who are now now the Dallas Wings. My suggestion, if they can't get the Detroit Shock name, would be to call them the Detroit Supremes. You know, kind of go with that Motown heritage, and so that's my suggestion for a name. So I will be working on the branding for that. You know, in my spare time.
What's Cleveland? What's the Cleveland team going to be? The
Spiders. The Black Widows.
All right, that works. And then Philadelphia will be the Lady Liberties.
There. The
Liberties already.
The Liberty Bells. Bells.
There we go. We cracked it.
Pun intended.
Pun intended. Yeah, because didn't Kelsey Blum kind of get in some hot water because she said, like, who wants to go to Detroit or Cleveland?
Yes.
So when she's not sticking up for Caitlin Clark, she's given opinions about
not sticking up for the Midwestern cities.
Yeah. All right. Anything else not football related?
No, I think we can get to our very long list of NFL topics.
Well, I'll keep it short with the Saints. Like I said, their training camp starts 2 weeks from today. I came across this morning. This was tweeted out by Ross Jackson, the Locked On Saints host, and I think this was his story. Is it Lael Collins? Lael Collins from LSU. LSU legend, Cowboy legend, Lael Collins. Apparently he's contemplating a return to the NFL, and he would be interested in the Saints because he and Kellen Moore crossed paths in Dallas. And apparently he
also played at LSU, so it would make kind of
that too. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. That's part of it as well. But it helps that the head coach Kellen Moore and he have a relationship from their Dallas days. Now I don't know if this is a situation where, let me state this another way. I would imagine this to be a situation where they would bring him in as kind of a veteran presence to help that O-line. I don't think they're bringing him in as like, he's going to start kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But who knows? I mean, maybe he says he's in good shape. He says he's ready to go, so we'll see. I do think the Saints could benefit from that kind of leadership. They do have Jari Evans on the coaching staff, future Hall of Famer, hopefully, Jari Evans. That's really all the big Saints news. I know we talked about Shuck going on the St. Brown podcast and kind of putting St. Brown in his place about him saying New Orleans food's not as good as people think it is.
There we go.
Yeah, he got points with a lot of people for that. So I know he still hasn't signed a deal, although he's not in the minority there. I want to say like almost every second round pick, except for maybe 2, haven't signed a rookie contract yet.
That's weird.
Yeah, I think it's they're all looking for like 4-year guaranteed contract. The only 2 second round pick. Now this could have changed because I want to say I saw this like last week. I know Carson Schlesinger, the linebacker from UCLA, he signed, and there was one other guy who I can't remember the name, but I think it's just evolution of player contract type deal. Oh, there's something we can talk. Well, I guess we'll talk about that in overall NFL news. But you have anything Cowboy related you want to talk about?
Speedster Cavante Turpin was caught speeding not on the football field, and also with a gun and marijuana.
Oh, good.
So that was a problem.
It's a big problem.
It didn't seem like he was impaired, and it was a misdemeanor gun charge and like minor possession. So, I mean, it could have been worse. And I did see that the last time the Cowboys had a wide receiver arrested for drug charges, they won the Super Bowl.
Well, hey, there you go. This is it, buddy. Get those. Where's the Super Bowl this year?
That's a good. Is it in? It's not in Santa Clara this year, is it?
Maybe. You keep going. I'll Super Bowl.
I mean, that was basically the. I will say I did pull up the Cowboys training camp schedule. They start training camp Tuesday, July 22nd, so 2 weeks from yesterday.
Okay. Yes, the Super Bowl, February 8th, 2026, is in Santa Clara at Levi's Stadium.
Nailed it.
So there you go. Get your tickets, buddy.
Yep.
How great would that be, by the way, for the Cowboys to be in the Super Bowl in the 49ers Stadium?
Oh, man. So there's the Chris Vernon podcast that I listen to. Chris Vernon, the host of the show, is a huge Cowboys fan, like grew up watching it with his dad and everything. And then the producer of the show is a big 49ers fan. And so if that happened, if they won the Super Bowl in the 49ers stadium, like the John Roser would not show up to that show for a week.
Okay, so this will be Super Bowl 60 this coming year.
Mm-hmm.
61 is going to be in SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. And then 62
Again.
And then 62 will be in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So we're already at 61. That's crazy to think.
So I guess the first Super Bowl that SoFi Stadium hosted was the Rams hosting it, and this next one will be the Chargers hosting it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
that's how.
Why not? Why not? Let's make it Saints Chargers. It could be a Breeze Super Bowl.
No, the Breeze Bowl.
Breeze Bowl, the Darren Sproles Bowl.
We'll have Alt J come on to play Breeze blocks.
There you go.
We did get some breaking news right before the show started about
go ahead.
NFC South team. The
Tampa Bay
Buccaneers will be missing Tristan Wirfs to start the season. He is having a procedure on his knee. It looks like that's what I saw.
He had. I guess they thought it was manageable. It turned out it wasn't manageable, so they just opted for surgery. And he's going to. The wording I saw was he was going to miss the start of the season. So. Does that mean 1 game, 2 games, just for yucks?
If he starts on the IR, he has to miss at least 4 weeks. Is that correct, or is it
I believe that's right. Yeah. If you start IR, you have to miss 4. I think at least 4.
Yeah.
So just for yucks, the Tampa's first 4 games. So they have at Atlanta, at Houston on a Monday night, come back. Their first home game is against the Jets, and then the next week they host defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, and then they go to Seattle the following week, and then they come back home to host the 49ers. So like this, that's not an easy schedule.
Yeah, especially the Texans and Eagles fronts. You don't want to be missing one of your better offensive linemen in that.
I would say even the Jets. Like the Jets front's not like that's not a cakewalk.
Right.
Atlanta, you don't know. Like their defense.
Well, they drafted 2 guys like in the first round, but like
true.
I don't know that they like particularly scare me. That's definitely like the least scary of all of those opponents.
But I mean, and Tristan Wirfs has been all pro level since he started in the league. So it'll be interesting to see what the Buccaneers do.
He's been one of the best.
Yes. Worst is best.
Yeah.
I did want to mention this story that broke. Let me see if I can find it now. I had it and I lost it. Let me find it. So this came out actually last week or the week before, but ESPN just kind of reported on it today. I don't know if you've heard about this. The NFLPA and the NFL agreed to keep collusion findings secret. So I'm reading to you from ESPN.com, if you'll bear with me.
Did they
the NFL
colluded on that decision?
Yes. Yeah. The NFL and senior leaders of the NFL Players Association struck an unusual confidentiality agreement that hid the details of an arbitration decision from players, including a finding that league executives had urged team owners to reduce guaranteed player compensation, multiple sources told ESPN. So I heard about this first from Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, and also from Pablo Torre's podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out. They had come across this ruling. It's a 61-page ruling, and Pablo Torre published the document. He and Florio went on each other's podcast and talk about it. Basically, what happened was, you remember in March of 2022, there was a little trade that happened, that Deshaun Watson got traded to the Cleveland Browns, and upon completion of that trade, got this big guaranteed contract.
Mm-hmm.
So the scuttlebutt is, once that happened, and that was in March, and the other big event that happens in March every year is the owners' meeting. So apparently, at that owners' meeting, it was suggested, quote unquote, that owners not give these big guaranteed contracts, which by definition is collusion.
Right.
Because right around the same time, Lamar Jackson was up for his new deal. Kyler Murray had a deal coming up. Russell Wilson had a deal coming up. So I would encourage folks, if you can find Pablo Torre and Mike Florio talking about it, they do a good breakdown on it. I don't know what's going to come out of this, but if nothing else, it just and the thing that struck me, the takeaway I had was what Florio said. Like, you would think in the NFL, it's 32 owners. These are 32 businesses, right? And they all should be competing against the 31 other businesses. It would be like, Walmart and Target. Like, they're not going to, like, Walmart's not going to tell Target, like, hey, I don't think you should do this with your employees because it's going to make us look, that stuff's not going to happen. In essence, this is like businesses saying, like, hey, don't do this because it's going to hurt us. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
yeah, but I can see the way. But if the owners are trying to kind of restrict player wages to kind of keep up their own revenues, then it actually does make sense. I guess from a profit sharing perspective, I wonder if that's like if they're just trying to get a bigger piece of the pie, then
but again, I highly recommend Pablo Torre Finds Out. That's his podcast. And then also Pro Football Talk, Mike Florio. They kind of broke this story 2 weeks ago. ESPN's now kind of just catching up to it. But I guess what ESPN's reporting today is that the players' union, which this is the kind of the odd part now, is that the owners and the players' union basically agreed, like, hey, let's keep this finding under wraps. Which, why would the players' union? If I'm the players' union,
to gain from it.
Yeah, so I guess something to keep an eye on. Like I said, it is summer break in the NFL, so you kind of need something to.
Maybe they'll use that as leverage, like in the next collective bargaining agreement. Hey,
I'm sure
we agreed to do this. So you're going to have to eat something of it here.
I do see while I'm on ESPN, I do see Dak Prescott has said he's full go from his injury. So
what I like to hear.
Good news. That's good news for you. This story came across today too. Dallas Turner, plays for the Minnesota Vikings, was allegedly a victim of bank fraud that resulted in the theft of $240,000.
Well, that's no good.
That's no good at all.
That's not going to be good.
He did get about $2,500 of the stolen funds have been returned. Several suspects have been identified. They're working towards criminal charges. Someone impersonating a banker at J.P. Morgan Chase called Turner, claims someone was attempting to impersonate him, Turner that is, at a Chase Bank branch in Arizona and presented 2 copies of ID to execute a wire transfer. Caller instructed Turner to transfer money to 2 separate businesses to prevent the attempted theft. Okay.
Man, that's brutal.
Turner then went to 2 Chase Bank branches to transfer $120,000 each to Island Food Truck LLC and CNL FL LLC. And then Turner realized he may have been a victim of a fraud scam, yada, yada. So be careful out there, folks. Be careful out there.
I also heard that Joe Burrow decided not to get the Batmobile after his home break-in last year.
Yes, I'm seeing this too here. To me, that would be more reason to get it.
Yeah, then you just no one's going to attack you, right?
You just put the Batmobile out front, and everyone's like, I'm not
messing with that guy.
I'm not messing with this guy. Joe. I think Burrow needs to maybe rob somebody.
Let's change tables.
Get out of here.
Estelle. I was trying to turn the volume up there.
No, that's all right.
Estelle decided to pop in there.
Still jumped the gun. I would say Burrow probably needs to rob. Maybe Burrow needs to convince Dallas Turner to give them money so they could pay Trey Hendrickson. Get that deal done.
Or Shamar Stewart.
I forgot about him. That's another one. The other one that I'm kind of surprised hasn't gotten done is T.J. Watt. There's still like T.J. Watt rumors around. He may get traded. I don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows? Well, Estelle, she mentioned it, but I guess we'll move on here because I do feel a draft.
I feel a draft. Let's change tables.
Get out of here. We have a booth.
Always a welcomed addition to the show, Estelle.
Estelle.
All right. So we opened the show talking about bloopers from our own teams.
Yep.
So what we're going to do here in a moment, we're going to draft NFL bloopers, 4 each from the history of the NFL. Just again in honor of Mr. Orlovsky. We might even draft Dan himself. But before we do that, we'll play a blooper version of Immaculate Grid, which is to say we will not be doing low score wins. We'll go back to high score wins, as we did with our Bizarro grid a couple weeks ago.
Try to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, we're mixing it up. So we are playing today, Brandon, keep me honest here, we're playing grid 721. That's 721.
That is correct.
Our rows are Kansas City Chiefs, Indianapolis Colts, Philadelphia Eagles, Brandon's favorite. And our columns are Cleveland Browns, Arizona Cardinals, and the category of Super Bowl champ. So,
Paul, you ready to call the coin flip?
yeah, let's go. By the way, I'm on a 3. Am I still on a 3-game win streak or 2?
Last week I beat you by 0.1 because
that's right. That's right. Okay, well,
I'm back on the winning streak.
You're back on the horse here. Okay, so I'll go tails never fails.
Flip
unless it does.
Google is flipping the coin. It is tails.
There we go. Allen Iverson flipped the coin?
Yes.
Okay. I still – did you see – by the way, did you see I think it was the NBA put out something that they were going to use AI to look into what did Halliburton have? What injury did Halliburton have? The Achilles? They're going to use AI to look into Achilles injuries. And so somebody posted an image of Allen Iverson looking at an X-ray. So they used AI to create an image of AI.
Pretending to be.
Yeah. All right. So we're doing Bizarro or blooper scoring. So I'm going to go with an easy target here. Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl champ. Let's go with Patrick Mahomes. And 24% for Mr. Mahomes.
But there's only one person on here that I can possibly think of, and that's Taylor Swift's boyfriend, Travis Kelce.
Okay.
Do you think the Swifties are playing Immaculate Grid? Because if they are, I got a shot.
They might be. Hey, you never know.
6%.
Wow, that's
low.
Surprising. Yeah, we got to get the Swifties on this. Huh?
Get them on the grid.
Get them on the grid. All right, so I'll take the 1-0 lead there.
All right, I'm going to take Colts Super Bowl. We're going to go Peyton Manning.
Of course.
37%.
Yeah, I'm not. I'll trying to think here. Give me a sec. I got to check. I'm just going to, because I don't think I'm beating that, so I'm just going to look to see if I can get a shout out here to an LSU legend. I'm pretty sure he won a Super Bowl with them. Yeah, he did. Okay, so I'm just going to go with Joseph. I'm going to go with Joseph Live and Let It Die. 4%. I figured he would be. I just wanted to give a shout out to Joseph Adai. All right. I guess we'll finish that column up here. Eagles, Super Bowl champ. Now, this might be a tricky one. I'll do it so you don't have to. I'll go Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
18%. So you might win this one.
I mean, it's open.
It's open.
Let's go with the other quarterback to win the Super Bowl, Nick Foles. 10%.
Okay. I'm curious. I wonder if Kelsey's the number one on that one.
Well, I thought about maybe Saquon Barkley or AJ Brown, maybe.
Yeah, Barkley's probably
be a good one.
That's probably
Barkley. All right, so you took that one. I'm going to take. Let's go Browns Eagles.
Okay.
Bottom left. I'm going to go Jeff Garcia.
Ooh, it's going
26%.
26.
26.
Okay, that's probably going to get the job done there.
There's also Sheldon Brown.
And Sheldon Brown, who once almost ended Reggie Bush's career in
his life.
Yeah, what the heck? I guess I'll just for that, I'll go Sheldon Brown. 3% for Sheldon, so that'll be one day. So we're tied here, 2-2.
Yep, 2-2.
Is it me?
So back to you.
Back to me. All right, let's see what we got here. I'll just stay Eagles. We'll go Eagles, Cardinals. We'll finish out that row. I feel like there's an obvious one here.
That's a good question.
Doesn't it feel like there's
one guy that I know of who like. Okay, so you got that one with Zach Ertz.
Mm-hmm.
So you're currently up 3-2, and it's my pick.
It is your pick. Yep.
I'm going to go. Chiefs, Cardinals, and I'm going to take Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger. Well, I'm going to try to take Tyrann Mathieu. Select 33%.
Okay, the only name I can think that would potentially get to that number is Chiefs Cardinals, right?
Correct.
Go DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh yeah.
35%.
Ah, brutal.
How you like it?
I forgot that. I just like completely forgot about DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Who is now with the Ravens and looks very old.
Right. He's still chasing that ring, man.
Apparently. All right. You were up 4-2, and it is the board's to you.
Okay. Let's finish up the Cardinals column. So we'll go Cardinals, Colts.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like okay. Let's go. Let me see if I can stick with the running back theme in the Colts row. I'm going to go Edgerrin James.
Yeah, that's it.
63%.
Yeah, I knew that one was like I should have taken that one instead of Cardinals, but I forgot. I was like, I need to get ahead of this Tyrann Mathieu thing. The only other, what is it? Jeff is it Chris Chandler?
Chris Chandler.
Yeah. He played for he played for the Colts and Cardinals.
Were you thinking of Jeff George?
Maybe. Yeah,
Jeff George didn't play for the Cardinals though.
Okay, that's right.
I don't think.
Oh, Chris Chandler's 2%.
Yeah, Chandler was always my original like Colts Cardinals. You know who else you could use is Dwight Freeney. But
Yep. All
I
right.
almost went Dwight Freeney on that one.
Okay, so it's my turn. You've won. You've got it locked up, but we can go ahead and finish this out.
Wait, do I really?
You got 5.
5-2? Okay.
Let's see. I'm gonna go with Chiefs Browns, and just because I want to, I like this. One of my favorite fantasy players of all time because I had him during the season where he caught 16 touchdown passes. Dwayne Bowe, 7%. 12, only 7% though.
LSU legend Dwayne Bowe.
Taste the Dwayne Bowe.
Taste the Dwayne Bowe. I'm gonna go.
I actually thought that would be way more.
So this is Chiefs Browns.
Chiefs Browns.
I'm gonna go the mighty Brady Quinn. Oh, 2%.
Oh,
so you get that one.
I win that one.
I'm very curious to see who the
we got to see who the
actual.
All right, last square.
Is it
Colts Browns?
Is it me? I guess it doesn't matter.
Oh, I know.
Well, yeah, it does matter, but all right, Colts Browns. I mean, we're just gonna go with favorite of the show. Comeback player of the year a couple years ago, Mr. Flacco.
Okay.
Joe Flacco, 46%.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So the guy I wanted to use here, which I don't think he'll score that high, was going to be is Trent Richardson.
Oh, yeah. He's probably in the 20s, I would think.
He is, 28%.
All right.
165
Okay, so
was my final.
all right, so you're going to be mad. You might be mad about Chiefs, Browns, top scorer was Kareem Hunt.
Obviously.
Saints legend. No, he didn't even. What did he? He came and worked out for the Saints and looked like he was going to sign a contract. And at the last minute, he got on a flight and went somewhere else and signed with the Chiefs. I think he went back to the Chiefs. Anyway. I think we got all the high. So actually, Jalen Hurts, the Super Bowl champ,
was the highest.
That was the highest score, which is, I think, at 18%.
Yeah, so we got all of them except Kareem Hunt. So that's pretty well done by us, I would say.
Yeah, there you go. But that picture of Jeff Garcia is rough.
It is. Well, look at Trent Richardson's hairline. Oh, you can't see it.
Oh yeah, I can't. Yeah, I can look up his picture on Pro Football Reference.
Buddy, they're not doing him any favors.
Let's see.
His hairline is the Colts horseshoe. I'll say that.
Is he Alabama legend Trent Richardson?
Alabama legend Trent Richardson.
Yeah. That's rough, buddy.
That is rough.
Former 3rd overall pick by the Cleveland Browns. Got traded in his 2nd season in the league to Indianapolis. Or he got
horrendous draft pick.
I mean, for what it's worth, his first season in the league, he rushed for 950 yards.
Yeah, look at his yards per attempt, though.
Oh, well, yeah. Look at that. That's not great. Not great. And then what did they pass up in that draft?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm looking at it here. So that was the Andrew Luck RG3 draft. They passed up Luke Kuechly, was number 9 in that draft. Your guy, Stephon Gilmore.
Pass on Morris Claiborne.
Mo Claiborne. Another LSU legend. Mark Barron.
Memphis legend Dontari Poe.
Yeah. Who are the running backs picked in that draft? Let's see. Right. Running back.
Muscle hamster Doug Martin.
Yeah, Doug Martin.
David Wilson.
LaMichael James. Lamar Miller. Lamar Miller had a pretty decent career. Alfred Morris, Cowboy legend.
Isaiah Peed.
Because he drank too much water? Like, what happened?
Apparently. Ronnie Hillman.
2012. Oh, this was the Sean Payton gets suspended for the season year.
Oh, also the Kirk Cousins draft.
You like that?
Rhett Ellison. All right, you ready to get to the bloopers draft?
Yeah, let me pull up my list here.
You got the first pick. I think there's a very clear number one overall pick here.
See, you make me nervous when you say that. So I'm going to go with this was the one. Well, okay, so there was one that always came up when I was growing up. Whenever you talked about like blooper plays in the NFL, there was one that came up when I was growing up, and then there's another one that's a little more recent, which I think is the one you're referring to. And I'll go with this number 1 overall, the butt fumble.
Butt fumble. That's what I feel like that's the number 1 pick.
The Thanksgiving, was that Thanksgiving night?
I think so, and the fact that it has its own name, like the name that it's called the butt fumble, just like is just a legendary play.
Yeah, this is, of course, for those that don't remember, this is Mark Sanchez. Is a Thursday night game against the Thanksgiving night game against the Patriots. He was he sliding, or I don't remember what he was doing, but
he was just trying to. It looked like a quarterback draw or some sort of design quarterback run, and he just ran into the backside of his.
Well, he slipped. He slipped, and his head hit his center's backside. And that caused him to fumble. Patriots recovered. That was probably Sanchez's last stand as Jets quarterback, if I remember.
Yeah, that's when things had started to go downhill for that iteration of the franchise.
This was 2012. Sanchez was drafted in 2009. They made it to the AFC Championship his first 2 seasons, and then went downhill from there.
Yep.
All right, buddy. What you got? What's your first pick?
All right, I'm going to take the one of the funniest still images that you'll ever see from an NFL game. I'm going to take the Colts fake punt against the Patriots. Where they lined up with one guy with the punter, directly behind the center.
McAfee.
Yeah.
McAfee play, yeah.
Yeah, so that they weren't supposed to snap it, and then when they snapped it, it was McAfee was not thrilled with
McAfee's talked about it before on his show and various other places. That was a weird one, because wasn't it that was a close game? It ended up being a relatively close game, right? And then
that was who was the Colts coach? You could just see, you saw him on the sidelines.
Was it Caldwell?
Caldwell, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll take the Colts fake punt, and then the other one I'm going to take is the wrong way run.
Yep.
So
sorry. Colts fake punt. Chuck Pagano was the head coach.
No, that's who I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could picture his face, but I couldn't come up with his name.
Chuck Pagano, he's back in the NFL now. He's with the Ravens, I want to say, as a defensive assistant. Great. So McAfee, because that was McAfee's coach, obviously. So McAfee brings him on his show. He used to bring him on his show. Great guest on McAfee's show.
Yeah. So my second pick, I'm going to take the wrong way run, which is Vikings defensive end Jim Marshall recovered a fumble and ran 66 yards to the wrong end zone, resulting in a safety.
Yep.
I assume that was the other play that you were talking about.
Yeah, that's what. So when you first said there was that's what I thought you meant originally was the obvious choice, but then I remembered butt fumble.
I think that was probably the standing champion until butt fumble kind of came along and knocked it off its perch.
Well, I mean, to run the wrong way,
66 yards.
And if you've seen the clip, there's nobody within 5 yards of him. And then he crosses the goal line, and he comes back, he throws the ball up in the air, and it's like, it reminds me, my granddad told me a story where when he was younger and he played high school basketball, and he never got to play, and he finally got in the game, and he steals the ball, goes to the basket, scores a layup, and he's all excited, and they said, Segura, that was the wrong basket. Like, so
brutal.
So I think every time the Jim Marshall play comes on, I think of my granddad for that. Okay,
you've got 2 picks here.
I got 2 picks. There is one. There's a couple of Cowboys ones that I want to leave for you.
I appreciate that.
There's one so I will take the Saints one that I mentioned earlier, which is we've talked about on the show before. John Carney's missed extra point after what is called the River City Relay, I think. Yeah. So this is 2003. Into the season, Saints are playing the Jaguars. They do this lateral back and forth, crazy lateral play to score a touchdown. All they got to do is kick the extra point to go to overtime. John Carney steps up and shanks it to the right. Classic Saints botch.
Very Saints. Very
Saints. The hardest I've ever seen my father laugh in my life, because he had just come in from outside, and we explained to him what happened. He said, "Oh, watch, they'll miss the extra point." Sure enough, they did.
Called it.
And he called it. Let's see, what's another? So I've got this list pulled up. So how many? So you have 2 picks after me?
I've got 2 picks. Yeah, I've got 2 picks left.
Okay.
I've got one that I know you're not going to take. It's a very specific memory that I have of this play.
Okay. Is it a Cowboys related one?
That one's actually not a Cowboys related one.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna leave. I hate to tell you, buddy, there's quite a few Cowboys plays on this list. You know what? I'll keep it simple. I'll just take the play that inspired this episode, which is Dan Orlovsky running out of the back of the end zone against the Vikings.
Yeah, that one needed to be.
Did somebody did it this year, didn't they?
Was it Will Levis?
It might have been, actually.
Will Levis is the spiritual person who you would think if you were to put money on, if you were to set odds on any quarterback to run out of the back of his own end zone, Orlovsky is the one that you would, or Levis is the one that you would be heavily favored.
Didn't somebody? I think I saw this on somebody posted this on Twitter, and I don't remember who it was, but somebody ran out of the back of the end zone, didn't realize it, and proceeded to throw a pick six. So, basically, it was the first 8-point play in the history of the NFL. I mean, obviously,
got called back.
The play's dead once the safety happens. But, yeah. So I'll take. There's got to be. When you might pick one, I'll let you do your 2 picks, and then I'll talk about honorable mentions. But
all right, so the first one I'm going to take is the one that we talked about earlier, the Leon Lett play. I'm going to take the Leon Lett fumble in the Super Bowl.
The Dan Beebe.
Don Beebe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or Don Beebe, yeah.
So I'm going to take that one because not only is it a blooper, but it's also in the biggest game in front of millions of people worldwide watching. It costs you your own record, but also a team record for points scored. And so there's just so many layers to it. And and all he had to do was just wait a few more yards.
Yep.
So I'm going to take that one because I needed a Cowboys one, and that's one of the greats. And the other one I'm going to take is Bill Grammatica.
Okay, I think I know where you're going.
So in a game against the New York Giants, he kicked a field goal, which I don't even think it was to win the game, and then he jumped up and celebrated, and then tore his ACL on the landing.
Yep.
One of the most ridiculous injuries that I've ever seen an NFL player yet. Celebrating a field goal, these two teams were really, really bad at the time, and so it was celebrating basically a meaningless field goal, and so it wasn't anything important, but he felt like he needed to celebrate like that and tore his ACL.
So there were 2 Cowboy-related ones I didn't want to take from you. I thought you would really take – so the first one I didn't think you would take, which is Romo botching the snap on the field goal.
I told you, Paul, that was because the Seahawks gave us the wrong ball.
Okay, fair enough. The other one, this was against the Cowboys. This was Deshaun Jackson dropping the ball before crossing the goal line on it was a Monday night game?
Yep.
So this was in 2008. In his first Monday Night Football game of his career, Deshaun Jackson got open, caught a deep pass from Donovan McNabb, went into the end zone for the touchdown. Actually, he didn't. He celebrated a bit early. He dropped the ball before crossing the goal line. Brian Westbrook would punch it in from the 1-yard line on the next play, but the Eagles lost 41-37. And Jackson had to wait a couple more weeks before scoring his first career touchdown. I thought you might take that one as
Well, you know what's funny is because they have that high school all-star game. I don't know if they still have it, but it was the Army sponsored it, and so they had an East and West all-stars in high school. I was watching that game when I was in high school, and I watched a player, going to score a touchdown, do a flip, drop the ball on the one as he's doing his cartwheel kind of play.
Yep.
And so it wasn't a touchdown because it counted as dead there. Come to find out later that was in fact Deshaun Jackson, who just didn't know when to celebrate apparently.
But the thing I was going to say, I was surprised neither of us took a play of that type where somebody drops the ball before. But then I think about it; those happen a lot more often than you think.
Well, that happened this year, didn't?
Yeah, somebody did it this year too.
The Colts running back.
Taylor, Jonathan
Taylor.
This is another one I forgot about. This is from 2013. Awareness on all plays is such a key trait for pro athletes. Without it, routine plays can turn into epic blunders. Darius Renault found this out the hard way when he took one tiny step forward and one big step back, literally and figuratively, that resulted in a safety. So I'm guessing he left the end zone and then went back on his own accord, and then that ended up – because if you do that, then it's a safety.
Right.
Whereas if you just stay in the end zone and take a knee, then it's
a touchback.
Touchback. Yeah. The other – I don't know if this one counts, but I was thinking of Saints ones. There was a Thanksgiving game against Atlanta where Shy Tuttle, our defensive tackle, intercepted Matt Ryan, and then Matt Ryan tried to tackle him, and Shy Tuttle stiff armed Matt Ryan out of. It was one of the best stiff arms I've ever seen. Then I think it was that same game. Julio Jones caught a pass, and he went to no, this is another Thanksgiving game. It was a different game. Julio goes to jump up, and I want to say it's was it Alex Anzalone, I think, hit Julio, and he helicoptered and fumbled, and the Saints recovered. I don't know if he counted as a blooper though.
Did you take your fourth pick?
I thought I did. Didn't I take? Oh no, I didn't.
No, you still got one more.
I still got one more. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, well, I'll take the Deshaun Jackson one then. I'll take the Deshaun Jackson dropping the ball at the 1 yard.
There's another helicopter play that I almost drafted too, which is
it the Texans one?
Yeah, Sage Rosenfels, the Rosencopter.
I don't remember this one.
Okay, so this was hilarious because the Texans were actually going to beat the Colts, and this is when the Texans could never beat the Colts. Uh-huh. And so Rosenfels tries to tries to jump, and then they helicopter him. He fumbles. Colts pick it up and run it back for a touchdown, and then the Colts get the ball back and score to complete a 10-point comeback in the fourth quarter.
That's tough.
So I do have, before we do the recap, I have an update on the Bill Grammatica situation on the
Okay.
play. So this is a 42-yard field goal. The two teams that were playing were the Cardinals and the Giants. The Cardinals were 5-8, and the Giants were 6-7. This
Okay.
field goal was in the first quarter, so it was completely meaningless in terms of the game. He tore his ACL, but he actually came back out and kicked another field goal and extra point in that game
With a torn ACL?
with a torn ACL.
Man.
So props to Bill Grammatica. He injured himself, but he played through the pain.
There was another clip I saw on Twitter the other day of I can't remember the player's name, but he was celebrating a sack, jumped up, did the where you jump up and you uncross your arms or whatever, and when he landed,
the Ronaldo celebration.
yeah,
You do that?
yeah, that's what it was, the Ronaldo stuff. And when he did that, he tore his ACL doing that. I forget what player it was.
There was a player for the Memphis Tigers who actually did that after scoring a touchdown. I want to say he was a running back or something. He tried to do that, and I think he just hyperextended his, thankfully.
Yeah.
So he didn't end up tearing his ACL, but he did injure himself pretty severely.
It was Lamar Houston.
Okay.
He was, and he. And by the way, this happened while his team was down 25 points.
There you go.
So, and I want to say this is for the Bears. So shout out to
Donnie
Andy the Bear, Andy the Bears fan.
Andy the Bears fan.
Sorry, Andy. All right, so you want to here, let me pull my list up so we can recap here. Give me a sec. Got to go all the way. All right, so I had the first pick, and I selected the butt fumble, the John Carney missed extra point after the River City relay, the Orlovsky running out of the end zone play, and then Deshaun Jackson dropping the ball at the 1 yard line on Monday Night Football.
I remember during that play, I was screaming. I was screaming at Roy Williams, who was the safety running after him. I was like, "Jump on the ball! He dropped it before the goal line." But they just ran past, and I was like, "You got to be kidding!"
So
completely.
So what happened? Did an Eagles player jump on it? I guess
since no one actually made a play, and I think because they actually whistled it as a touchdown, they just called the ball dead, and so the Eagles got the ball at the 1.
That makes sense. Well, did the Cowboys challenge it, or did the
It was one of the automatic, because it was called the touchdown on the field, so it was automatically reviewed.
Gotcha. So somebody in the booth was like, I don't think he crossed the goal line.
Yep.
And
okay. All right. I went second. I took the Indianapolis Colts fake punt, the wrong way run, the Leon Lett fumble in the Super Bowl, and Bill Grammatica's torn ACL on his field goal celebration.
Going back to Leon Lett for a second. So the other infamous play you mentioned in the opening against Miami on Thanksgiving, I think it was Thanksgiving.
It was.
When he touched a blocked field goal.
Mm-hmm.
That happened recently too. Didn't that happen?
It was the Cowboys and the Bengals were playing on Monday night. The Cowboys blocked the punt, and then it it took a bad bounce, and it bounced into one of their gunners, or one of the coverage blockers. And so the
Cowboys, was this on the Simpsons game?
It was the Simpsons game.
Okay. I remember this. Yeah, I remember thinking oh, that's a tough beat.
Yeah.
For that. Because the Cowboy player was turned around, he didn't even.
Yeah, it was it wasn't that wasn't a blooper. That wasn't Leon Lett trying to cover the ball when he should have just gotten away from it. That was he had no real way of getting out of the way of the ball because it just took a.
I remember Mike Golick talking about that the play, because Golick was playing for the Dolphins at the time, and he was on the field when that happened. And I remember him saying, you're always taught if you block the field goal,
Get away from it.
Fire, whatever the term is, everybody. And then when let just comes out of nowhere.
The thing is, like, everybody else on the field, the Cowboys, is like, stop, like, get away. Like, everyone is backing away from the ball, and Leon just comes running out of nowhere. Yeah. One of the other reasons he called him Big Cat was because he couldn't resist, playing with the ball. He's like, I'm going to get a fumble recovery here, be a hero.
Yep, absolutely.
I think Jimmy Johnson talked about that one year, like on the Fox pregame show for the Thanksgiving game, and he was talking about that, and he said that, like, he went into the locker room after the game, and Leon Lett just had, like, tears pouring down his face, and he's like, hey man, don't worry about it.
So that was a Super Bowl year.
Then. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it didn't hurt him too bad.
Well, we didn't hurt ourselves too bad either this week.
We didn't.
I don't think.
We didn't tear any ACLs. Hopefully Paul's back isn't too badly injured.
Yeah, I don't know what I did, but we'll figure that out. If we're recording this from the hospital next week, we'll let you know. So I saw when the calendar turned over to July, NFL posted there is football this month. We talked about it last week.
Hall of Fame game.
3 weeks from tomorrow. Yeah. 20.
Yep.
Yeah. The 31st, the Hall of Fame game, Chargers and Lions. I had to remind myself who's even going in the Hall of Fame this year, and I forgot already.
Not Darren Woodson.
Yeah, unfortunately. I think Darren – I was thinking about this the other day. It would be better for next year if Darren Woodson and Drew Brees went in the same
there we go.
class, because then you and I would have
be great for our show.
Something to talk about, yeah.
Let's give them something to talk about.
Yeah, so Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Antonio Gates, and Sterling Sharp are the four. Eric Allen, Saints legend Eric Allen. Gates, obviously. Hey, he played basketball, right? Antonio Gates?
I hadn't heard that.
I didn't know that. And Sterling Sharp, I guess Shannon Sharp's going to be at the Hall of Fame. He's not going to be on ESPN anytime soon. It doesn't look like.
That's true. He will not be joining Mr. Orlovsky there.
By the way, we mentioned Sinners earlier, or it may have been before the show. Did you see Skip Bayless's tweet about Sinners?
Oh gosh, do I want to?
You go. When you have a minute, just go check out. He tweeted. It was a video, I guess he did on his channel about his reaction to the movie Sinners. It was everything you would hope from Skip Bayless.
I assume that he hated it.
No, I think he actually. I don't think he hated it. It's just his, just the way he reacted to it. I found it very Skip. But anyway, do you have a movie you want to recommend for me this week?
No, give me one more week. Let me think. Okay. Let me think about that for this week.
So you still got to watch.
Still L.A. Confidential.
L.A. Confidential.
It's actually Love Confidential.
Yeah, The Confidential.
Confidential.
Yeah, I'll see. I've got a couple other. I got some stuff I'm gonna try to knock out. I watched the. I didn't mention this, but I watched the Terminator movies.
Terminator.
They really should have stopped at 2. Like, I mean, 3 wasn't bad. I do kind of wish James Cameron had directed 3 because I think that would have been a good end to a trilogy. But man, those last 2, they got into some. Oof.
Don't talk about my family like that.
Oh, right. My apologies. Do you see any? You see any residuals from those?
Unfortunately, no. Even though I do have a cousin who is named John Connor.
Well, you want keep him safe.
Yeah,
he might be our only hope. Might be our only hope one day. Real quick before we sign off, if you're curious, the Astros are going to be starting Lance McCullers, Framber Valdez, and Hunter Brown against the Rangers this weekend.
I thought he was injured.
Who?
The guy who's always injured.
Oh, McCullers? No, he's back. Our friend Jason Alexander got sent back to AAA. So, George is getting relegated.
That's a shame.
One other thing real quick. Did you see the Saints' new helmet? Their new
No, is it? So it's white?
It's a white helmet. They're going to use it with their Color Rush uniforms. The helmet actually looks pretty good, but I think we've talked about this on the show before. I'm just forget all these. Just pick one uniform and let's just stick with that. This is my old man get off my lawn thing. Like, can we just go back to the old uniforms? We don't like the Broncos.
You can do throwbacks,
right? And which did you see the Washington Commanders? Those throwbacks actually look.
No, are they using the old logo?
They're using not the old logo, but they're using the old color scheme, the old Redskin maroon and yellow. Like they call it their Super Bowl era scheme, whatever. But it looks like the old Redskin uniforms.
Oh, nice!
Just with a W on the side of the helmet instead of a.
I was watching some like '90s highlights the other day, and I was like, "Man, they look so much better than the crap they got now."
Yeah, man. Who's the other uniform? There was another. Well, like Tampa Bay with like the old creamsicle. Those colors. Yeah. Let's just go back. Just keep it simple, guys. Let's not overthink this.
Yes. We don't need 50 different uniforms over here.
Yeah, we don't. Are you going to try to go check out Superman this week?
I don't know if I'll have time to this week. It's gotten pretty good reviews though.
Are you interested?
I am interested. I am as a DC Comics person.
Okay. Yeah, it has gotten a lot of good reviews. I'm interested. I'll probably be checking out some of the older Superman movies. I definitely I've seen the Christopher Reeve ones from back in the day. It's been a while, so I might check those out in lieu of going to see the new one.
I liked Man of Steel.
Yeah, Man of Steel was good. I remember, real quick story before we sign off. When you remember Superman Returns, the
old one.
No, this is like 2006. It
was really bad.
Well, it was like a weird one-off, right? So they had the 4 Christopher Reeve films, and before Zack Snyder took over, they had this one Superman Returns film, and the guy playing Superman was Brandon Roth, I think was his name.
Yes, I remember. Didn't a bullet hit his eye?
Yeah, maybe. And then Kevin Spacey was Lex Luthor. It actually was a pretty good Lex Luthor in retrospect. But what I remember about that movie is we went to Shreveport to watch it at the movie theater there. And my buddy and I are standing in line to get popcorn and whatnot. And the girl in front of us, we're like talking. And all of a sudden we hear the girl in front of us ask the person working the concession stands, "Do y'all have orange?" Like that's all she said. "Do y'all have orange?" And I was like,
soda?
Like orange. Yeah, that's what she meant. Was like, but like me and my buddy looked at each other like, but orange what? Like
oranges, like the fruit.
Yeah, you got. Because this is around the same time that Chappelle show was real big, and Chappelle had that whole bit in his show about purple stuff.
Purple stuff. Orange.
I want that purple stuff. Yeah,
give that orange. Can I get the orange stuff?
Yeah, I got that orange. You say y'all got orange, and the person working at the concession stand gave her a look like, what are you talking about? So I don't know if she got the beverage she was seeking, but shout out to her wherever she is. All right, buddy. We'll sign off for the week here. We'll see what we can get up to during the week. We'll see everybody next week. Hope everybody has good. Hope everybody had a good 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
Hope everybody has a good week coming up. And also before we do sign off, want to give our best wishes to the folks affected by the flooding. Our neighbors to the west there. Yeah, was it Kerrville? Yeah, it's Kerrville, and shout out. I know the Rangers made a donation.
Rangers and Astros both did. The Cowboys and Texans also both did.
Cowboys and Texans did. I know the Saints made a statement. I don't think maybe they did. I don't know if they made a donation or not. Whataburger is they're doing a thing till the end of the month. If you buy one of their commemorative cups or collector's cups, 100% of the proceeds goes towards the relief efforts. So it's a scary thing, man. Especially like my wife and I have been watching it, and those poor kids at the camp. Obviously, as parents, that's
terrifying.
Heartbreaking, terrifying. Yeah. So, our best wishes to all those folks. Not to end on a down note, but want to give our thoughts to all those folks. But we'll talk to everybody next week. Hope everybody has a good week. And until then, happy football, everybody.
Happy football.